Hello friends, it's the start of fall here in the United States, and even though I live in one of those states that doesn't have changing leaves or pumpkin patches, and it's actually really hot, I still like to pretend. So I got a giant apple-scented candle, we have pumpkin syrups for our coffee, I made beef stew and an apple upside-down cake this weekend. My wife and I have been going on a lot of walks in the morning before the sun gets too hot, and I've actually been reading the Harry Potter books for the first time. And through those last two, walking and reading, I've noticed a pattern and a similarity that's been really helpful for me, and I hope it might also be really helpful for you. I should say first of all that I am not originally the kind of person who would just take a walk. When we first got married, my wife would ask me, hey, would you like to take a walk? And I would say, sure, where? And she would just say, out. We're gonna walk and then we're gonna come back. At first, I would just do it to be nice, but now I actually really enjoy our walks, even if we're just going down the block and back. There's something mind-clearing about leaving my home behind, moving my body slowly, just looking around and just focusing on one thing at a time. So how is this like reading a book? Well, I'm going to guess that some of you might think of books how I used to think of walks. They're only good for getting someplace and a pretty slow way to do it. And that's a fair question. Why am I reading this book? What am I hoping to learn or get from it? And I think you should ask that before you sit down to read mindlessly. But this past weekend, as I've gone on a lot of walks and had a lot of reading sessions, I've noticed that I feel really similarly when I put a book down as I do when I get home from a walk. And it's making me wonder, maybe the act of reading might be good for us on its own, independent of the topic, in the same way that the act of walking is good for us regardless of where we're walking. Both help us slow down, pay attention, and show us new things. Both take a little bit of effort, but not so much that we're exhausted by the end of it. And of course, that does depend on the book. Some books are like mountain climbing and you have to have a really solid reason and plan to get through them. And some books are more like a lap around the block. But all of them give your mind a chance to stretch a little, see something new, and then come back to your home in the real world a little stronger with some new perspective. And one last thing that I noticed on this last walk I took just a minute ago, two people can take the same walk and notice different things. Hopefully they notice a lot of the same things too, but there might be little pieces that I notice that my wife does not, and little things that she notices that I don't. For example, there was a house on our walk that had just been torn down, and she said, wow, there used to be a house here. And I looked over and was like, oh, I guess there did used to be a house there. I would never have paid attention to that. I was too busy looking at a yellow butterfly in the middle of the street. And in the same way, you might think you know what you'll get from a book because your friends have read it, or your teachers have read it, or a younger version of you read it many years ago. But until you take that walk for yourself, you won't know what you might pick up that those other people missed. Analogy aside, when I put down a book and when I come home from a walk, I feel a very similar type of refreshment. And it's sort of the opposite feeling that I get from when I've been on my phone for a couple of hours. Now, if you're not sure what book you should read the same way I used to not know what kind of walk I was supposed to take, first of all, don't worry, just pick a book. It'll be good for you pretty much no matter what. Pick a fun one, pick something that you're interested in reading. If you do want more recommendations, I send some out through my Substack, which you can sign up for in the description below, that's free. Or you can go watch some of my earlier videos. A lot of them have to do with books, not all of them, but a lot of them do. That's it. And if I could give you some unsolicited advice, I'd recommend closing your browser, taking a walk, and or reading a book. And if you do that, come back in a couple of days once you're feeling refreshed and let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.